Okay, guys. Hill County Republican Party Executive Committee meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll move up a little bit closer once everybody's sitting down and the meeting started.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we humbly come before you this evening and ask your blessing on this meeting of the Hill County Republican Association. Lord, we are grateful for this association, for our chairman, all his volunteers, the staff, and precinct chair, for all of them. We just pray that you give them the energy and wisdom and discernment they need to keep working hard to keep our elections streamlined and fair. Father, we thank you for the work they do here at Hill County. Lord, we're coming into a season. We just come out of this busy season of the holidays of the new year and all the new challenges we face. We seem to have a tendency to get lackadaisical when it comes to these midterm elections. Lord, I just pray that you stir in each one of our hearts the importance of this midterm and to not set back the progress that we've made in this new administration in this last Texas legislation. So Lord, just give us the energy, the willpower to get out the vote, to tell everybody in our sphere of influence how important the elections are. Lord, we pray for our country, our president, our representative leadership in Washington and Austin, right here in Hill County. Give them wisdom and discernment. Lord, we pray for a spirit of revival across this land as the people will turn back to you. We thank you for our military men and women who serve to protect us, our emergency responders, police, firefighters, and EMS. Lord, put your hedge of protection around them. We thank you for the work that they do. Lord, we thank you for all our many blessings. But above all, we thank you for salvation that comes through the faith of the risen, living Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. In his name we pray.
Amen. Thank you. And now that we've got that, we're going to open up with our pledges. And now we'd like to go to our high-ranking elected official, who trustee is our district judge. So would you please lead us in the pledge of United States?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got to cover. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next time will be our district clerk here. You want to do the Texas or not?
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. So we got a short business meeting part, and then we'll get into the reason why both y'all are here to hear from AFP and a little bit about this precinct process. All right. So, Madam Secretary, we're going to go to introductions of elected officials. Saw our District Judge Justin Lewis is here. Our District Clerk Marshall is here. Other electeds. I think I got all the electeds. Are you? Oh, your City Council? Yes. All right. And like I said, we'll be hearing AFP here in a minute. Special meeting. Very good. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Bill Ward.
Here.
John Agnew. Keith Thomas.
Here.
Ian Green. Here. James Gresham. Leanne Richmond. Amanda Reeves. And Heather Moore. John Lovis. Richard Travis. Don Riddle. Kim Cooper.
They said they would.
I'll be fast.
Daniel Lewis. We have Tasha Sawyer, we have Marshall, and Susan Stone. As well as Keith Thomas and
Great. So I believe that's 25%, so that's a quorum. If we have anything to get done tonight, then we do have a quorum. Very good. All right. Our approval of previous minutes. Everybody got a copy of the minutes, precinct chairs? Any questions, corrections? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to accept as presented. All right, Amanda makes a motion to accept. Second. Anybody? Second. Keith. Hey, David's the player. All right. All right. All in favor of accepting minutes as presented, say aye.
Great.
All opposed. Very good. Minutes are accepted. Treasurer's report. Our treasurer is here, but she's very busy watching all the things for the county, and she didn't get a chance to do her treasurer's report for tonight. But nothing has changed since the last time, so nothing to do to report. Very good. Okay, we'll get that our next meeting. Reports for precinct chairs. Richard? Daniel? Okay, Don? All right, that's all right. Dan? Keith?
Here, are you gonna guess our totals?
The list?
Voter list?
Yeah, we didn't get those out there for you. The teams thing has been checked to get those out, but I think that we finally got the list out, so get those going. Okay, very good. Reports from elected officials and their representatives. Nick is here for the North campaign. Anything to report? It is. Yes. All right, and we're going to be hearing from AFP here in a minute as part of our presentation. All right. Absolutely.
roll call is Daniel and Vice Chair.
Yes.
And
There's
the
13. Is it not on there? 13?
Yeah, there is. And the mark here. Thank you.
All right. All right, that's reports. Minutes on the agenda. Okay, so an old business last meeting, the status of, so we had our candidate forums. We had our first one in Hubbard, and our second one in Whitney, and then our big third one in Hillsboro, ASAP. Which is unfortunate, but it works. So, Speaker Rice could redo it. We're now running into getting everybody trained up on the new election equipment, and trying to be sure we have all our judges trained, so that has been taking up my time for this part. So, won't be convening the last candidate forum. The last meeting, we also voted to have our precinct and county conventions on the same day, Saturday, March 28th. And that's today's training. We'll be talking about what that process is. So under new business, March 3rd, primary. So everybody should know by now, starting over in this room, March 3rd is our primary. For those, this is what we had now at the candidate forums. It's just a complete list of everything on the ballot. And it's multiple pages because it's a really long ballot. Lots of contested races, parking races you're not aware of have contested. I think, most people are aware of governor's race, but, senator, there's 3 people we're focused on, but there's other people running for U.S. Senate. Dan Patrick has people running against him. There's a lot of people that want to be governor. And if you didn't realize, when we redid the big beautiful map, Hill County got moved out of CD6. Jay Kelsey is no longer, he's our congressman until
January
31st. And we are now going to be in CD17, which is Pete Sessions, and nobody ran with Pete Sessions, so he will be our congressman moving forward after January 1. The Attorney General's race, 4 strong candidates there. Comptroller got 3 really strong candidates and another gentleman running. Railroad Commissioner, and then all of the criminal appeals. State Senator, there's actually 3 candidates for State Senator. Most people probably heard of John Gibble and David Cook. But there's a lady from Falls County by the name of Rita Schrader who's running. Obviously our state rep race. Then locally, our district judge's race is contested. Our county treasurer's race is contested. And both of our commissioners have contested races. And we have a first time since I've been county chair, a contested precinct chair race. So he wants to get involved, so that's good. So anyway, the ballots, sample ballots are on the election administrator's page. I posted them on our Facebook page, but they're up, so if anybody's like wanting to get a copy of it, just direct them to the Hill County Elections to get the campsite, a sample ballot. Just be sure that they're aware of what their voting precinct is, because those are all designed by voting precinct. Remember, people always think, I live in Commissioner, I live in Precinct 2. No, you're Commissioner Precinct 2, you're actually voting Precinct 13. So anyway, you're talking to friends, just kind of help with mindset about that. So, and then also on here, we've got all of our standard polling locations that we condensed to several years ago are the same for this election. Early voting will be the same 3 locations. Early voting will begin on Tuesday.
February 17th.
There you go. Yeah, there it is. Tuesday, February 17th. We will have weekend voting here at the Covington Annex. So if you have friends or people who work out of town, or they got a kid at school, they can come in that weekend and vote here. And then also the following week, Monday, February 23rd to 27th, this location will have extended hours, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that is a big help for folks who work out of town or aren't here all the time, Monday through Friday. And then of course on election day, polls will be open the standard 7 till 7. So our new election administrator is doing a great job of getting this information on the county's webpage. We've got this really nice graphic that has all that spelled out as well, in great detail. So we put that information out, but we've worked really hard in our county to streamline, make elections more efficient, between polling locations and equipment, and these combined polling locations have been the same now for several election cycles. So the voters, there still will be people who go to a building and say, I voted here. No, this has been the one that way. So please try to get people to vote early. I know people like to only work on election day, and that's fine. But if for some reason they have any problem with their voter registration, if it's their early voting, you got a much better chance of addressing any issue they may have.
None of us are promised tomorrow.
What's that?
None of us are promised
Oh,
tomorrow.
exactly. You don't know what stomach virus is going to hit you on election day, right? Or the car blows up, or a tree falls on the house. I don't know. Things happen. So get your vote in and do early voting. We got to make it really easy in this county to get that done. So. Yeah, and let's see, we'll talk about that here. So also remember on that ballot, which is on the back side of the insert, the state Republican Party is asking 10 questions. They call them propositions. These are not binding by any stretch. This is not passing a law. This is not affecting any change. It's not enacting any action. It is a survey, if you will. So the state party, the SRC comes up with these 10 questions. Each primary, they come with a new list. And if several times with school choice. Well, when I've got school choice, that's not on here. But there's several, these are kind of like volleyball questions, right? Do you think that Section 8 term limits on elected officials? That is a new one. It's an old idea, but that's a new one. But a lot of the same ideas. I've got to imagine you're probably not going to vote yes on all of them, but you might not. You might not think it's a priority. So anyway, research that. You'll have a chance to get feedback from the state party by your decisions on how you vote with propositions. So with that, I don't want to belabor that point about elections, but then, take this. We got extras here. If y'all want to take these home with you, hand out to friends. There's good information in here about everything on the ballot. And if you're talking to people, it is a long ballot, and there's a lot of races that people aren't going to know a thing about that office. Tell people it's great to research, so you go and be an informed voter, but if you get in there and there's a race you don't know about, it's okay to skip that. There may be somebody that all I want to do is vote for governor, that's it. That's okay. There's no law saying you have to vote for everybody. You have that right as a voter. You don't have to. In fact, you can go in there and say, I don't like any of these. I ain't going to vote at all. That has happened once. But try to be an informed voter. Like I said, the primary ballot is so many contested races, certainly when you get to the judges. They got websites, it's hard to get information about them sometimes. But I think between the ag commissioner's race, and the attorney general's race, governor's race, attorney general, so have we got any information about your state rep race? Anybody? Anyway, so just be an informed voter, and also remind people, friends you're talking to, that it's okay for them to take a voter's guide. They could take, this and do the research, and I think this person is the best one, and they circle it. They can take this with them into the polling location. There's nothing wrong with that. You cannot take this. You cannot take a recording device, and people say, "Oh, my information's on my phone." You can't have it out. The reason why is because this cornerstone of our democracy, secret ballot, and this is a recording device like crazy, and that's the whole point. It's not to penalize you. It's to be sure you don't record somebody else's choice, right? But if you want to take this and mark it up with their notes, you can take that into a polling location. Be sure to remind that for folks too. So take these with you tonight, hand out to friends, remind them to vote. It's not really on here, just a couple of things about elections. We're getting there fast. Our new election administrator is drinking out of a fire hose, but she's doing a really good job. Marcel has got the whip over and keep an eye on her and being a lifeguard and everything. Navigating. But hey, we've had lots of accuracy testing, ballots ready, ballots mailed out sooner than we've ever had in the past. So, yes. Yes. And so we're going to start training our election judges with the election administrator. Election administrators actually doing the training. What a crazy idea. Anyway, we did get our new check-in system. So we will not be having old school paper poll books. And it works, but this new system is really slick. It's an iPad, all the same process is there. Somebody comes in, you hand your ID, the iPad camera looks at it, looks up that person, touch screen, find them. All you gotta do is flip that screen that way from the sign and flip it back, and then it'll print out a sticker, just like the old system did, and you hand it and go and print the ballot for them to vote. So that's the same. We are having separate primaries. So we go in the polling location. That side will be the two lonely people for the Democrat primary, and then our side will be on the right with all the fun people and lots of people in the line. So check-in will be separate. And once you get the tape, get your ballot, and then you vote like normal. So otherwise it's just like every other election, but the check-in will be separate. So, all right.
At every polling place?
Yes.
Will be at the same place for the president?
Yes, we are sharing polling locations, but we are not running a joint primary. So they have their judge and clerks, we have our judge and clerks. So.
Can I just a word of caution? Years ago at Blum, we had trouble with the line was so long on the Republican side, the Democrat side was short. People would just, and they would try to get them. We don't have a long
Come on, check in.
And then people would come over and say,
Yeah.
"Wow,
Yeah.
why wasn't Greg Abbott on the ballot?"
So we'll have big signs up that
Keep an eye
says
out for that. Yeah.
Republicans, the correct party, the party of insanity, please check in to be
And there's
sure.
a ton of people that don't realize what a primary is.
Yeah, right. No, and there's always people who get confused every time with that very thing. But it will be separate, yes.
I guess the Democrat precinct 13 judge called me and was asking who's taking up their equipment.
They're getting very excited. We'll deal with it, yeah. So, I'm glad that he's asking, but we'll get that to you. Yeah. But they have nothing else to do, right? They have no candidates to go campaign for, no issues to talk about, so that's the only thing they have to do. So.
I mean, GOP doesn't take it up.
What's that?
I mean, we don't take it up for them, do we?
No. Now, when the training will go through all the steps about what is separate and what is Because there is, like, the scanner and the ballot printer, there's one, but, and there's a backup there, but like, you pick up your equipment, and they're allowed to get to be at the same point, bless their hearts, so. But that is a good point Keith brings up, is if you're in there, if you're in line on election day, be sure early voting that they realize that, don't wait here, we'll get you real fast, don't worry, don't stray over there for the wrong company. So. All right, any other questions, just the basics about elections? It's from years past, like I said, all the same polling locations, which is fantastic for the voter. The new check-in system is going to be even faster and better than we had in the past. So each time we are making improvements for the voter in our county. So I'm excited about all these changes. All right. So with that, partly you don't want to hear me talk. We're here in the program tonight, and we have Jeff Ware here tonight, who is for Americans for Prosperity. So who in here has ever even heard of Americans for Prosperity? Okay, I was thinking maybe 15%, so that's about right. So a lot of you don't know, so it's a very interesting organization, a lot of great ideas. Anyway, just going to talk about what they're doing, and at the end of it, I'll let you do your part, then I'll do the follow-up.
All right, my name is Jeffery Ware with Americans for Prosperity. So the organization's been around for about 22 years nationally. They started out getting involved in presidential races. The donors are private donors, billionaires, who have figured out that if we don't protect our Constitution, our money's not worth anything. Our votes aren't worth anything. Our community's going to continue going down in the direction they're going. About 22 years ago when we started getting involved. And from there, they got involved in congressional races, and then more involved in the states. And here in Texas, we have Genevieve Collins, who's our director, an outstanding director, who is a very strategic person. She's very policy-oriented, which is what the organization is. We have policy priorities, some of you may have heard about, and that's our health care. And that's the personal option that's allowing individuals to use their cash flow, work directly with doctors, and not have the interference of the current insurance and a lot of mandates of the health savings account that's restricted to certain communities, employers, and so forth. Everyone would have that opportunity as national goal and state goal. Border security, Americans for Prosperity provided opportunities for other states, both businessmen and elected officials, be brought down to the border to actually meet with Governor Abbott and see what is actually going on the border to help get that message out there, the importance of having border security. And then the education savings account. You may have heard of Americans for Prosperity. We're probably the largest voice on that in getting the education savings accounts where we're at today, where people now are buying into that. And a lot of the private schools, home schools, and public schools are going to be on that list that we'll see coming out in March. And then, I don't know if anybody has noticed anything about taxes, school bonds, property taxes, city taxes, state taxes, all that kind of stuff. So Americans for Prosperity has always been involved, again, in constitutional government and how that applies in the tax process. So here in Texas, we are educated. So as a grassroots organization, as a 504c, we're a little unique than most grassroots in that not only are we an educator, but we actually endorse candidates at the same time who support the policies that we are involved in. And we also work throughout the year with those elected officials. And as your grassroots engagement director of Central Texas, that's from school board, city council, all the way up to the state level, working with those elected officials and county judges and so forth. Those are all fun. I enjoy that. So on tax reform, we're talking about a lot to deal with how things are appraised. So you saw in the November election, a lot of people supported the property tax that businesses have, that write-off that they're now going to have Texas, we didn't already have that built in there. And, you know, so that was one of the messages that we hope to get out there and get that bill in place. And everyone voted on that. So that's great for the entrepreneurs and the businesses out there. And then we also are involved, like I said, in the school bonds. So a lot of times we're finding that the message across the state of Texas is exactly the same. You can go to one school board meeting and you're going to get the same message at the next school board meeting, no matter what county you're in. And I can vouch for that because I've worked in 30 different counties for Central Texas. And volunteers who travel with me see the same thing. And so, are they always looking out for education?
No.
We're big on education savings account, so when it comes to bonds, what are we spending our money on? Are we educating our children? And so we help with that structure, working with the governor's team right now. We're working with them also. It's a mutual support process with this election cycle coming through. So the governor and AP have very similar policies when it comes to tax reform and tax reform. And then do a lot of tabling. So I know it's hard to see. I'm listening. Americans for Prosperity is listening to you. Does your government hear you? Are you seated at the table? If you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably on the menu. The table has become a symbol of power, negotiation, and credibility through which elected officials strategize government. What good does it do to sit at the counter when you cannot afford a handle? So at AFP Texas table, we connect people with policy, so you are the influencer and the power to make strategy decisions and affect those seated at the office to govern us. So one of the things that we do, and part of that education and part of that enforcement of candidates, is help the grassroots door knocking process. So we have, I was here in January talking about tax reform. Some of you all might have seen these on your doors. So you might have seen some of these on the doors. And then we go into a little more detail on that website. You can type in AFP Texas, and it's going to go straight there. And that gives a lot of the details of our events and so forth. And then also looking for volunteers to door knock, not just on tax reform, but enforcing candidates. So I'll change hats after the meeting and answer any questions on that. Election code only allows you to talk about certain things at certain times. But again, we're one of those few grassroots organizations that can do both. But there's a deliberate break in the discussion that we have. So, if you guys have some questions, I can give you a little bit more about myself. So, I've been the vice chair of the Republican Party of Bell County. I've been a precinct chair, election judge, election clerk, of course, and then the ballot board presiding judge for Bell County. And I've seen a lot with the system that you're going to get. It's going to really help out a lot, both in time and election integrity. It is a great system. You're going to enjoy it. It is new, so new things always create change. Change doesn't always come across as easily as we like. I also, before that, worked in 15 different counties down south of Boston, all the way up through just short of this area, doing election integrity, teaching elections, being a clerk, being a poll watcher, and so forth. And then also being a part of school boards and city councils. And all of our grassroots engagement directors come with that type of experience. So we look forward to sharing that with y'all. And if you know anyone that's interested in getting involved in door knocking, I'll provide the transportation. We eat really well. We have the material and the instruction, and it's really not a waste of time. One of the compliments that I've had a couple of volunteers come up to Hill County is that y'all are extremely polite. Extremely. So it's like the old Texas that I grew up right here in Hill County. So thank you so much for that and that community piece that we have. That's really appreciated. And I look forward to providing that opportunity to anyone that's interested in doing that. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, ma'am. So on the invitation for tonight, it has the link on there, and yes, there is a link that provides the 6 candidates that we've endorsed. Yes, ma'am.
I don't really know what question to ask, but I have questions in my head.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you go down to the Capitol? Do you have representation down there? Do you actually put people on the burner and try to figure out what's going on?
I love your question. So the answer to
I like
that,
that, so.
the answer to that is we do have an individual that lives in Austin. That's his full-time job, and we have another individual that's working with him. So when you look on the site, you'll see Sam Sheets and James. Both of them are at the Capitol. They go to the Capitol meetings. They go directly to all of the officials in the Capitol. Yes. So just like I met Angela Ward, Representative Angela Ward, down at the Capitol, and actually presented a Trailblazer Award for her support of ESAs in this past session. So the grassroots engagement directors also contact and work with their representatives in their area, Senate and Senate and House in their area of responsibility. So do we have great discussions? Of course we do. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else?
One of the things that I really like about having, so there's lots of, you're getting mailers and who are these organizations, there's all kinds of outfits that know the right answer to everything. And a lot of them are screaming and yelling, right? They've got their one thing they want, they're screaming and yelling about it. Screaming and yelling doesn't really get you much in life, okay? If you want to get something done, and AFP wants to get something done. They are very well funded with their benefactors. They are nationwide, so they deal with issues across the country, and have a strong presence here in Texas. And speaking for our state rep, when you're trying to figure stuff out, you listen to lots of voices, and if somebody just comes in yelling and screaming, there's not a lot you can write down or do an action about. AFP comes with data. They come with specifics. They come with ideas. They come with things like, look, I think this is the way we should deal with taxes, and here's why. So very well researched organization, I like them. I mean, there's, they got a lot of good ideas, and sometimes, you need an organized group to kind of push something forward. And so, he's being very smart with what he has to do for code as a 513C, what they can do at a meeting. So here's this information meeting, these hits. Our state rep has definitely been endorsed by FP, and that's just saying at the end of the meeting, he's set up where they're going to be glad to answer questions, and they're doing block walking to let people know what AFP does, how they can be involved with that, and the folks that they are endorsing. So good stuff. So he'll be, like I said, available to answer questions for sure. Thank you, Jeff, for that. Also, on the email that I sent you, it's got the link to their website, and on our Facebook page, it's got the link to the website as well. So lots of good stuff, good videos, good communication. AFP is really good at communication. Okay, so now the next thing is part of the primary process. Get my bolt going again. So we're selecting our party candidates to go on the general ballot to defeat the Democrats, yes. We're going to have some propositions to choose, but also in our primary process as a party, we start the process of creating our party platform, our party rules, and our party officials who gets elected to represent the party. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Everything is asleep. I always say that if you have somebody who's willing to have their browser up at a public thing, you know that's when you can trust, right? Okay, so, and how do we do that? We have a thing called a convention process. Alright, so, okay, a lot of familiar faces in here. Who all in here has not been a part of a precinct, county, or state convention? Alright, so we have a couple of folks. Okay, so, not uncommon. at all. A lot of people don't know what the heck it is. So that's what we're going to do this training today. It's not going to be the future in depth. This is kind of a quick crossover to get you all the high points about it, hopefully get you interested in how to be a part and to be a part of the process. So, what the heck is a convention? Why do we have to have it? All right. So, have you ever wondered how those people wearing those cool Texas shirts get those shirts at like the national convention? Right? How? I mean, who are those people? Why are they special? Right? Have you ever wondered just who makes up the electoral college? Like you hear, you voted for president, but yet it's the electoral college that actually votes. Oh, wait, who's that person? Oh, why do they vote? Well, I'm not too sure I like that. Well, where did that come from? I've heard about the party platform, but where is it and who writes it? Right? And who wrote all those confusing questions on the primary ballot, those propositions? Who did that? All right. Well, the answer is you. Okay? So we're going to talk about this convention process, how it happens, an overview of the process, a precinct convention, a county convention, state convention, and national a little bit. All right. So the Republican Party is a grassroots organization. All right. So what the heck does grassroots mean? All right. For the Republican Party, what grassroots means is that every decision made, every person who's in a leadership position is elected. Right? It's not a group of big donors in a corner who decide this is what's important. They're not super delegates who get to skew all the votes. We are an ugly, messy family. And we vote on everything. All right? And this convention process is the way we begin that voting. All right, so first step is your precinct convention. All right, so your voting precinct, not your commissioner precinct, your voting precinct, like where you would vote on election day, is the smallest form of organized government in the state of Texas. You cannot get any smaller subdivision than your voting precinct. And so that is why we have precinct chairs that represent those voting precincts. So that you can't get any smaller, you can't get any closer to the people, to the voters, than a precinct convention. So that is where we start. So who can participate? Any registered voter can participate in a precinct convention so long as they voted in the Republican primary election the year's held. If they didn't vote in the primary, but they want to be a part, yes, they can, but they have to sign an oath of affiliation. If you voted in the Democrat primary, you made your oath of affiliation, and no, you cannot be a part of a Republican convention. All right. So the precinct convention, we're going to use a lot of fancy words about how things happen, but it's just like this is a process part, so don't let the names get you too boogered up. So in a precinct convention, you're going to have a delegate and an alternate, and they're going to be nominated and elected to represent the precinct at the county convention. All right, that's going to make some sense here in a second. So, but it's no big deal if a precinct chair is not present. Ideally, we like our precinct chairs for the precinct convention so they get to know the voters and all that. But if that's not there, it's no big deal. We can still hold it, not a person. One person constitutes a quorum in order to conduct a precinct convention. Okay, real simple. At that precinct convention, that is where the first idea for a platform resolution can be proposed. I think we should be dealing more with issue XYZ. We should be having term limits. We should be getting rid of property tax. We should be blanket Sharia law. I mean, all these things you're hearing about. Maybe has some different idea. There was a couple of years ago, John Lovelace had an idea of how to change the way you thought there should be an idea that senators would be more elected instead of direct votes, more like an electoral college vote. He started that idea. They actually ran all the way up and got a part of the party platform. But it started at that precinct convention level. A lot of times the ideas that you're going to have, I'm going to bet you the 40 of the Republican Party platform, that sucker is so big, so long, and full of so many different ideas. So if you have an idea, I would highly encourage you to go to the Republican Party website and look at the party platform. I bet you your idea is already in there. But if it's not, come to the precinct convention and submit your idea for a new resolution. When you do that, it needs to be writing. You can't just come with ideas flowing out of your head. Write it down. And you don't have to do the superfluous, wherefore, whereas, on the da-da-da-da-da. You can be real simple language. I think as a party we should be focused on getting this thing done. Okay, you can add the superfluous language later. We want the idea of that precinct convention. The idea is the important part. Okay, so like I said, quorum is not required to hold a precinct convention. And a precinct convention can last 1 minute. All right, everybody here, do you have any resolutions? No? Who wants to go to the county convention? Me? Okay, I'll nominate so-and-so and so-and-so. All opposed, say aye, opposed, nay. We're done. That could be a precinct convention. In our urban counties, you can happen here, but you can have a very, very large event with hundreds of people show up for a precinct convention, and at that point, there's a whole lot of rules that do take place. There is a determination of how many people can actually get to be a delegate at a precinct convention and go forward. I'm not going to go into all that right now. The whole point is that people have an opportunity. It's run by Robert's Rules of Orders. There's a whole structure to it. For our county, you know, if you want to be a part of it, show up. Don't worry, you're going to get a chance to participate. All right. So when you do that, you're going to have minutes. You're going to have your resolution ideas, and those that have been actually turned in. We'll talk about how that works. Yeah, we'll get those turned in. Okay, so we're starting. We're at a precinct convention. What's our next step? All right. So now you met at your precinct level, at your local level. You had a really good idea. Now, how do I get that? How do we get that up to the next level? Well, the next level is going to be our county convention, where we get all of our precincts together and we pull together everybody's ideas for platform resolutions, and we create a committee to kind of look at them. A lot of them will be already in the platform. You don't start from zero on the platform. The previous platform is still in effect. It can be modified and changed, but it's not like you don't have to recreate all the ideas all over again. If it's in the platform, it's going to be, that's the starting point. One of the reasons why the Republican Party platform is so big. All right? So you got a new idea and you want to take it to the next level. Well, who is going to carry that idea from our precinct to the county? Well, you're going to have a delegate to represent your voting precinct to attend the county convention. Now, if you heard the minutes earlier last meeting, we voted to decide to have our precinct convention and our county convention on the same day. It doesn't have to be that way. Some counties like to have a precinct convention the night of the primary. You can have it on a Saturday in between before the county convention is. We've just found that we get more people showing up, and if we have the precinct convention the same day as the county, we can be there to help answer questions. If there's new people there who don't know the process, Marshall, other people can go through and help them be sure they understand. So they're not getting frustrated and know how to be part of the process. Right? So we can be there to help them, and what we'll do is you have your precinct convention, get those ideas. There's several temporary committees that are created. One is the resolutions temporary committee. And what that committee does is look at all the resolutions that might be presented from each precinct, go through them and go, oh, this one's really covered by platform number 3. This one's already covered by, oh, this is a new idea. Okay. And then they will vote to say, yeah, we think this as a committee, these 3 ideas are really good. We should talk about carrying this forward. Maybe there's one they don't think is necessary. So when we convene at our county convention, they'll get a report that says, this is how many we got. These 20 were already covered. We thought these 3 were good. We thought this one shouldn't go forward. All right, but we said everybody gets to vote, right? Did that committee get to decide? No, they're making a recommendation. So they will make a report at that county convention, and whoever's a delegate at the county convention can vote on whether they agree or disagree with the committee's report. It's a way to get the work done, but this is where that says it's messy. Because everybody gets a vote. Nobody gets to, so you can have very long, like, well, I want to amend this, and I think it's that, I think it's a good idea, I want to, who's going to speak for, who's going to speak against it. Well, I think we need to make an amendment to that amendment to say, change this word to, that can all happen at the county convention floor. That is the process. It is, if you've never been through it before, it can be very, can be exhausting depending on who's playing that day. But it is the only way to be sure that if you're there and you have a voice, and you have an opinion, it can be heard, and it will be voted on. Now, you may come and you want to, I make an amendment that we should strike all that language. Okay, there's an amendment on the floor. Oh, he seconds it. All right, so who all's in favor? Aye. No. Oh, you know, oh, no, looks like that's, sorry. The body says that we voted on it. And there's weighted votes and all that stuff. I don't think that's fine. Okay, so we talked about that. As we start our county convention, we're going to create some temporary committees to just do the work of the convention ahead of time. Credentials is really easy. We're just looking at, did you vote the primary? And if you did vote the primary, did you vote the Democrat primary? As long as you didn't do that, be sure if that person checks in, they got some open affiliation. That's credentials for Hill County. For some of these bigger urban counties, if they can have contested people who want to be delegates from their precinct to the county convention, and the people can contest who the list was and voted. I mean, it can get to be a very big process, and there is a process to deal with all that. For us, you want to be there and you want to be part of it. We have plenty of spots. The temporary rules committee will look at our conventions are governed by the rules of the Republican Party and Robert's Rules of Order, but you can make amendments or changes to rules. Usually what we do is we just put in a rule that says this many minutes to speak for and against, and each issue can have 3 people for and against. It's, something to kind of set some barriers, because you can't get somebody, if you don't put that in, they could open up and just start talking forever. And, it's not fair to everybody else, but the rules say nothing was said, I couldn't keep you talking. So we usually put some bumpers in there just to keep the process moving, because you don't want somebody who's brand new to this get so frustrated, well, that was the most stupid waste of time, how did I ever do it? Right? That's what you don't want to have. We want to grow the party. Organization, that's just talking about who's doing what to run the convention. The Temporary Resolutions Committee, that's the one committee that's going to do the most work. And the way that we do it is, so we have our precinct conventions in the morning, like we'll start checking at 8:30, we'll start our precinct conventions at 9, and then how long does that take? It can take 5 minutes, but if you have a whole lot of people show up, it might take an hour, maybe 2 hours. It just kind of depends until everybody gets their say and gets their presentations and they vote out what they want to do. So once they vote it out, once we have every precinct convention complete, the resolutions committee will take those resolutions and go through them, and like I said, see what's already in the platform, or see what's a new idea. They'll vote that report out. And then all the other work, it doesn't take that long to do. As soon as that's done, we'll reconvene as a county convention. If you already showed up and given up your morning Saturday, hopefully you'll stick around for the county convention as well. Sometimes it's really hard to get people to come back. But if you're already there, hopefully we got to action. All right? Nominations. So this will be the nominations committee will be looking at who would like to go to represent the county at the state convention. All right, so we got our idea for a precinct convention, we take it to the county convention, we vote and go. We think these 3 ideas are great platforms, they should be part of our platform. Okay, how do we take it to the next level? Well, we elect people from our county to be a state delegate. Right? We just got our number. We'll have allowed to have 19 delegates to represent Hill County. And as part of this process, there's always an alternate for each delegate. So we actually have 38 spaces. And the convention is in Harris County. It's in Houston. So when it's in Fort Worth and Dallas, it's really easy for us to fill all of our delegate spots. And, not everybody can give up all that time and spend money. It's on your own dime, right? You're spending your own money to go stay. Sometimes it's tougher to get people, and it's a logistics reality, right? You got vacation time, can you take off that time and go? But we will vote to figure out who's going to take our ideas from Hill County to the state convention. All right. Kind of boring. Check it in. Everybody still with me? Okay. So once the county convention starts, we will vote to accept to make from these temporary chairs. Now remember, everything's voted on, right? You know, you said this committee's doing all this work. Well, wait a minute, when did we vote on that? Well, as the convention begins, we will vote on who's the convert from a temporary to a permanent chair. The temporary committees, we will vote to say who's going to be the permanent chair of the rules, nominations, platform, and all that. So that is voted on at the county convention. All right. You survive the local convention process. And I know they can seem very right? But for those of us, Keith, John, who've gotten into this and done it, it's kind of a fascinating process to see how rules are set up, to get a bunch of disparate, contrarian conservatives in a room and somehow come up with a product with all those people. Right? So it is a very much definitely organized system. It appears very messy, but democracy can be very messy if you create a system where every person has a voice. All right. All right. Any questions about that so far? You've done such a good job, or your sugar's low. Okay. State convention. It is going to be June 11th to the 13th at the lovely George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston. We just had a convention. Why do we have to have another one? Did we get done? All right. So the state convention is where we conduct the business of the party. Like I said, the delegates are elected at their county convention to go to the state. Only delegates can vote, serve on a committee, or determine the leadership of our party. If you are not elected at your county convention to represent your county as a delegate, you don't get to vote on anything at the state convention. You can't just walk up and go, well, I made this nice donation to Don Buckingham. Doesn't that get me in? No, I'm sorry, our reports don't show you voted in. Well, I've been doing stuff for the party for so long. I'm a very important person. I need to be in there to... Sorry, you didn't show up the process and nobody voted to say, yeah, we agreed you should represent our county. Now, you can attend as a visitor, but you can't vote. You cannot vote at the state convention unless you're chosen to be a delegate at your county convention. A lot of people get really frustrated when they show up at the state convention sometimes. Okay, and the reason I went through all this little process for our county convention is, can we just get it real quick? Well, the state convention is going to follow that exact same format as our county convention. All right? In the several days before the state convention starts, there's temporary committees that are working on resolutions, rules, and oh boy, now that's some, you want to learn some parliamentary stuff, I mean, those are some long meetings. It's a very much an involved process. Those folks are appointed by SRC. We'll talk about how SRC gets there. The temporary rules committees are going to be rules, platform, credentials, legislative priorities, credentials, and organization. All right. That's what's okay. So for all those temporary committees, each of these committees include 32 people, a chair appointed by the state chair, and one member for each of the 31 senatorial districts, appointed by the state chair upon recommendation of one or both of the district's SRC members. So that Monday, June 8th, if you're appointed to serve on these temporary committees, they start work on rules, platform, resolutions, legislative priorities, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and they will be working until late in the night, each of those days. They will be working all of that time. Especially rules, and so is anybody feeling like that just yet? You know, those sound really boring. Blah, 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 blah. Is there any fun at the convention? Well, if you're a political nerd, state convention is 6 months, right? The Texas State Convention is the largest conservative convention in the world. Largest group of conservatives in the world. So it's a big deal. Right? Nothing but like-minded conservatives. Now, may not agree on everything, but we're all, if you get to talking, you find out we probably agree on about 98% of all the same things. Right? And at that state convention, if you got all these conservatives in the room, you're going to get all kinds of elected officials going to be there, right? They want to, because they're going to be their core supporters. So you're going to get the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. You're going to, You're gonna hear from all kinds of statewide folks. Alright? And there's also lots of other activities. There's a grassroots club breakfast usually, there's a gala, usually a faith and fellowship breakfast, a congressional luncheon. The congressional luncheon, a lot of these are extra tickets you have to pay for. Some of them are free, like usually a prayer breakfast is usually free, but some of them, the gala banquet is now free. Alright, you gotta pay for that. The congressional luncheon is interesting. Just once again, the state of Texas congressional delegation is one of the most influential in our nation. Our conservative principles have the power to influence national policy like no other state. The heck is California. I don't care if California does. This is what we're doing in Texas. The rest of the country just needs to do what we're doing. Alright, but as a delegate, there is work to be done. Right? Like John says, it's work.
Waffle caucus is Sunday night before all the temporary committees.
Okay, so just like we did at our county convention, we have to switch in like a permanent chair of the caucus. We meet as our Senate district. So every county that makes up our Senate District 22, we will meet as a group. And we will make decisions based as a Senate district. There'll be 31 different groups meeting. All right. There's a temporary chair. I've been the chair of a caucus before, twice actually. And there's a lot of work to do ahead of time to get ready. But then you still, even though you did the work beforehand, nobody voted on me. So that's the first action is the body votes to accept this person to be the permanent chair to conduct the caucus.
Nobody voted on you for, I'm sorry, can you clarify?
Temporary chair.
So when you're a temporary chair, that's an appointment.
Okay.
So any temporary group is there to get work done ahead of time as much as possible,
Yeah.
but everybody gets to vote. So every temporary chair has to become a permanent, and that is done by an election by the body.
I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So in the senatorial district, we will meet twice during the convention. So the first action, like I said, is we convert those temporary committees to a permanent. This is the people who've been doing that work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, staying until midnight, 2 in the morning, coming up with their ideas for rule changes, legislative priorities, the platform. And so what will happen is that first meeting, each of those people have been doing that work all 3 days, and they will give a report, just like we did at our county convention. This is what we've done as a temporary committee. This is the things we came about. This is what our conclusion was. And then we decide as a caucus, are we going to pick that person to continue to do the work going forward as a part of this convention? So if you want to go and pick somebody else who's given up 72 hours of their life to work, maybe you completely disagree with everything they did. It's like, man, they've just given up a lot of time, and they know that process better than anybody. But it can happen. You can have a coup, and you can flip the entire. But that usually doesn't happen. Usually everybody's pretty respectful of the work the folks have, but we still vote. All right. So you will elect. So the next thing we'll do is we will elect the people who represent us on the state Republican Executive Committee. So the state party is very similar to our county executive party. Like we're made up of precinct chairs and myself as chair. The state party is made up of people called SRC, State Republican Executive Committee man or woman. Same thing, the 31 Senate districts, each one has a man and a woman for our party rules. All right? Those people will be elected at the state convention as a part of our Senate district. So those are the people who will go forward to make up the state party. So the job of SRC is just like that of a precinct chair in a lot of ways. SRC is also responsible for the questions and propositions on the primary ballot. Our second Senate caucus is another election. This is where we will pick our state chair and our state vice chair. All right? And this is not a direct election. It's kind of more like an electoral college in a way. It's like each Senate district votes who they want, and then they see like you have to have so many out of so many Senate. It's not a raw vote. It's like you won 18 of the 31 Senate districts, so you got the majority. All right. Now, one of the things that is good about our party, kind of unusual, is for each position, one has to be a man and one has to be a woman. All Right? So our SREC has to be, can't have two men, can't have two women, it's gotta be a man and a woman. For our state chair, it could be either a man or a woman. Well, the vice chair is gonna have to be the opposite. So if you're a math nerd, wait a minute. So if these people are going for a guy, but then a woman wins it, then what happens? Was there a man running for vice chair? I mean, right?
Can I ask something? What is the point of having one female and one male? Because they think.
It's the way God made it.
You know, he might be, why does there have to be one man and one woman?
Because that's our party rules, and that's what we voted on, and that's what we decided.
Okay.
There has been some talk of changing that. I think it would be very foolish, and I think it does a much better job of getting a better opinion and a better representation of the party and society as a whole, to have a man and a woman, both their ideas and opinions. God made us to do different ideas in different streets.
I agree.
But yeah, every once in a while, there's somebody who wants to go and change that.
Precinct convention resolution.
Yeah.
You can try. It's not gonna, okay. Okay. All right. Then it gets crazy. All right, so you've got our Senate caucuses and all that stuff. Now, we talked about how your precinct convention, you got a bunch of people, the process getting kind of crazy to make sure everybody's voice is heard. All right, then we have a county convention, that process too. We do it in state convention too. Whole floor, 5,000 delegates. I want to make an amendment to the rules. It is crazy. It is crazy. If you have never, if you think you know parliamentary procedure and all that stuff, go to a state convention and watch it unfold. It's really kind of fascinating to me because, you know, you've got, like I said, it's the largest conservative convention in the world, right? You got anywhere from 5,000 to 9,000 delegates there. And yeah, so we're now, the committee report about rules will make their report to the body. And we got to vote on it, whether we agree or not. And this giant floor of 5,000, 8,000 people that have little mics set up, a little light system. So you can go back there. Parliamentary inquiry, why is this, da 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 da? They got to answer it. And it's like, it's crazy, right? You got 5,000, 8,000 people, there's two people talking, control the whole conversation. Kind of wild. What? If we're going to say grassroots have a voice, this is the way you got to do it. And so, and sometimes, you know, it is a procedure, and it's messy, and it's time consuming. I don't know of another way to do it if you're willing to say everybody has a voice. Right? Now, you'll see people, and there's some well-known characters who will, you know, go and hog the mic and start to do just, you know, a lot of people like to hear themselves talk. Don't be that person. You know, sometimes there's a real point that needs to be made, or there's something that didn't get reported, and they thought to try to do it, well, here's their last chance to try to get that idea before it's voted on. Right? So, it's cumbersome, it's exhausting, it's also kind of fascinating. Okay? And then, so we'll be, on Friday, we'll be voting on the rules, the legislative priorities, and Saturday we vote on the platform. And at that point, you're exhausted and you're done. So, I mean, I could go to, you know, lots of more details about exactly how that works. The main thing is, if, what I'd like you to take away is that as a party, everything is voted on. And everybody, as long as you vote Republican or willing to sign an affiliation, can be a part of the process. Right? In presidential years, there's a whole other section for national convention, like we pick national delegates and all that. As part of that, this is not a presidential year, so this is a much more simple. If you go, it's your first time, you're going to go, oh, it feels like, oh, national convention is twice as complicated. So it's a wild process, it's a cumbersome process, but if you're going to say we actually, the voter decides what we're doing as a party, this is the only way to do it. So, encourage people to, and we'll have, when people start voting, we'll have notifications about when our precinct and county conventions are. Talk to people, say, you know, it's a Saturday, you should come and see how it happens and how it works and how you can plug in. And maybe they come once and they go, okay, well, I'm glad I learned, but this isn't my jam, I don't want to be part of this. Or maybe somebody comes and goes, I've been looking for this my whole life, this is what I want to plug in and do, you know? Bless them. Bless them. I'm still here, you're still here, you never left. But yeah, but you know, if anything you take away from it is that everything is voted on, and you have a part in it, and you can participate. There's nothing precluding you from being a part of this process, just your time and your willingness to show up and do the work. So, like I said, we will have notifications out at the early voting at every poll location of the time and date of our precinct county convention, so people know about that. We put information out on our emails and you know, social media and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's another part of the process that people don't see very often or understand. That's only because they didn't show up. Everybody can be a part of it. So, any basic questions about convention process or what it is or why? Like I said, I just want you to know that everything is voted on. At some point, it's voted on. It's not decided, it is voted on. And I think that's a kind of cool thing. I don't always agree with everything the state party does. But when I go to the conventions and I vote by what I think is right, you know, everybody else votes me. So I have my voice heard. So, anyway. Brain dead. Okay. All right. Any questions? No? Why did such a great job? But anyway, good. Yeah. So we pushed the word out about that. Like I said, we'll be going in more detail. You know, once we get the primary done, we've got to get the primary done first to get that finished, and then we'll be starting to put more information out that people's brains are and so forth. I don't want to distract them. I want them to vote. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote. And then we'll get this part of the party took care of as well. So, anything? That was our agenda for me. Any questions? Yeah, John.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, yes. I love that. That's my favorite motion.
Hold on, did you want to mention about campus?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say before I took that. Before I took a second, I was going to say real quick. So our next meeting, official meeting, it will be the canvass of the election. There's actually only 2 required meetings, statutory meetings of the party, ballot draw and canvass. By code, those are the only 2 meetings we have to have. Yeah, by code, that's the only 2 we have to have. So the canvass, we'll know closer. There's a last day we can have if we have sooner than that, but once we get all that, I'll put out the word about that. The canvass is a public meeting, and everybody's invited. We'll put out notifications for all that. And at the canvass, what we'll do is primarily the election results, plus anything, mostly the only thing that changes it is provisional ballot that got counted, see if that changes the outcome of any race. You know, if there's a recount of a race or anything like that, that all has to happen before. No, the canvass has to happen, and then a recount would happen. So we have to have the canvass, but that's why you see unofficial results on election night, is because until you get any late overseas military ballots in or provisional ballots counted, that could affect the outcome. And that the canvass looks at all that and gets that's going to be. We have the canvass for it to be the official results. Then once you have the official results, if you got a super tight race, then somebody can request a recount. Yes.
I just wanted to invite everybody to the candidate meet and greet at the Whitney Public Library tomorrow night at 6:30. It's very informal. Tables will be set up for any candidates that want to come and set stuff up. And at 6:45, we're turning the mic on for a candidate parade, and all the candidates who are there will be able to speak for a couple of minutes, plug their campaign, give more information, and then everybody can keep talking. We have surprisingly had several that are outside the county that have RSVP'd. And you don't have to RSVP. So if you talk to any candidates and they weren't sure if they could go, but they want to drop in anyway at the last second, they're welcome.
Very good. Yes.
Do we have a runoff date if there's any runoff?
Last Tuesday in May.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday in May.
So it's May
The first Saturday.
20 and 28th, 27th.
Something like
I'm just trying to get to the primary. Then I'll get to the
that. The
primary.
first Saturday is school,
Yeah.
state and special.
Derby Day.
What day last?
Last Tuesday.
26th. May 26th. So yeah, I am fully anticipating that I know for sure we're gonna run off for U.S. Senate. And several other races could go to some runoff, so I imagine we will be having a runoff for those things. So, but we don't know that for sure until the votes are finished. So. All right, so we have oh yes. Yeah.
And that roster, if anybody wants more information, if you want to provide me your information, you'll get the events that go on. And of course, I'm open to doing events, so if you have an idea of something that you want to do, again, for any of the policy priorities or learn more about AFP, you have great places to eat here. And donors love entertaining individuals that are wanting to get more involved in government. So for you and any friends and guests that like to learn more, please.
So Joey says that there is a nice table. If you got any questions about AP or their endorsements of candidates, all that good stuff, he's there to answer any questions. So with that, I have the motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Keith, yeah. John motioned it, seconded. All right, all in favor, turn to the aye. All right, very good. Take these if you want to give your friends and neighbors about the ballot.
Okay. Here. The meeting is now over, so now you can mention something about your thing.
So on the 20th, we're having a formal, black and white.
You have to speak up, though.
I'm sorry for Catwalk. And we're asking for, it's a fundraiser, but I would like to formally invite you. On the 20th, it's going to be in White Bluff at the Convention Center.
Kristen, you get one of these.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Not a
it.
problem, be $5.
I got it. You just hold on for 5 seconds,
Hold,
okay?
hold my breath right now.
Charge interest on that.
See you later.
That's the best way for me. And I will get up and get that stuff over to you right away. Are you coming to the library?
Probably not.
Because I'm going to be going to the Jeffery.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, true love. Where's your wife? Oh, I tried calling her earlier. I need to talk to y'all for real. It's important.
Okay.
So your wife hasn't come over. How's the house thing going? How's the house thing going?
It's coming along.
I'd like to come see it. So that's what I did. Commercial. Actual commercial. Well, I
In other words, I'm right, not in the, and I'm surrounded by two.
So we can stay in Hillsboro, or down Wakefield, and then walk off the floor. Right now it's brand new for our area.
I was going to get the table thing. I'll wait for him to finish talking to the other chick and then go get his spiel for that part. Oh, did he leave? Oh, yeah. I'm still odd. Translating this part.
The child was, oh, I guess Brandon can take
Finish up.
two. That's a thought.
Right. Just the candidates. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Drag whoever you want along. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm actually still streaming. I was going to see if you could give a quick public explainer about this part of the process.
Okay. So, that's why I change hats. You'll see I have a different hat on.
Right.
So we also endorse candidates, and those candidates have worked with us or intend to work with us in policy priorities.
Pick these up for tomorrow night. Thank you.
So Governor Abbott has a tax relief program that he's working on, and so is Americans for Prosperity, and so is Angela. So we're working together and educating the community about what the governor's doing, Angela Ware's doing, and Americans for Prosperity.
Cool. My niche is tracking bond elections in Texas. So I've done a lot of the vote no campaigns. And we saw the AFP hangers in Northeast Independent School District down in Bexar County.
Yes.
Those were well done.
Yes.
And I'm hoping to see more of those this next round. I know Dallas has a $6 billion bond they're putting on the ballot. So you've got the tax thing, you've got candidates, and you've got speaking engagements, right?
Working with the candidates,
Yeah.
working with the elected officials, yes.
Yeah,
On a regular basis.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so if y'all want to go block
School
walk.
bonds, please reach out to me. Your grassroots engagement director of Central Texas. Again, you can find us on AFP Texas,
Got it.
and you'll have all of the grassroots engagement directors and our leadership contact information on there.
Got it.
And with the bonds, what we do is educate. We provide a lot of facts so that you can make the best decision and work with your school boards.
Right.
Decision process.
Got it. Okay. That's it for me, guys. Vote no on all the bonds anyway. Bye.